Beyond Mortal Boundaries, Chapter 12, The Gifts and the Fruits of the Spirit, Part 2. He and she that overcometh shall inherit all things. Yet the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars, shall have their part in the lake that burneth. This is the second death. And often those who are speaking in tongues have only been taken over by unclean spirits who desire to be heard, as they use the mouths of their gullible demonstrators to babble forth their words without knowledge. And these are most certainly not approved or called of Prime Creator. And the foreign words of some defiled evil spirit have no worth or value. And it is of these that Christ will profess that he knows them not. Yes, though I speak with the tongues of men, of angels, and have not charity, I am but sounding brass and clanging cymbals. Only in and through love does Prime Creator work. All the gifts can be demonstrated and performed by unholy ones seeking to impress others with their own powers and personalities as they place themselves upon the highest seats, to later be invited down. Thus it is that the righteous are not recognized by their gifts or acclamations, yet by their fruits shall you know them. And with the fruits, the manifestation of love and humility are always made perfect, as they bear witness of Prime Creator's acceptance and approval, not in words, yet in power. Prime Creator will not be mocked, and those who vaunt themselves or behave themselves unseemly are but mocking the majesty and the glory of Prime Creator's sacred gifts and of Prime Creator himself and herself. And these will stand under great condemnation at the last day, as the fruits of the Spirit alone can bear witness of one's true status. It must be known that only as love is developed within the soul of man, woman, can he and she begin to bear these precious fruits of holiness. These fruits are gentleness and love and humility, and the precious attributes that Christ acclaimed, as Christ designated Christ as the vine and Prime Creator as the husbandman and man as the humble branch. It is only from the branch that the fruits can be brought forth, and that bringing forth of the real fruits of the kingdom is always accomplished in a joyous ecstasy of selfless service for the glory of Prime Creator and for the benefit of man, womb man. And joy itself is the second fruit of the Spirit. Without it, nothing can be made perfect. And joy is not a hysterical, uncontrolled display. Joy is the glory of Prime Creator flowing out from the depths of the soul in perfect control and glorious humility. Glory be to Prime Creator for a privilege so great as being permitted to live upon this wonderful earth. To live in this most dynamic age or era of all ages is an honor indeed. It is beautiful, it is glorious, it is divine. Those who live only in the past, carrying their moments of inspiration and divine direction along with them, with no contact with Prime Creator in the present, are truly burdened with the weight of their own worn-out stairways as they drag each step along with them. Those who live in the future, expecting it to fulfill their dreams of perfection, their hopes of glory, their desires for acknowledgement, are also misplacing the dynamic impact of their creative powers in a far removed realm of accomplishment beyond their reach. Thank Prime Creator with all the strength of the soul for every divine whisper of comfort or instruction or information. Then go unto perfection, as Paul directed. He who loves Prime Creator with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength is walking with Prime Creator. And all who is living in the great eternal now. And he and she is living in the great eternal now. In this marvelous now do all things exist. It is within man's ability to lay hold of the best gifts. And always the power of the Almighty is bestowed in the living present, not in the dead past or in the vague distant future. Live as though you already had the complete fulfillment of your most sacred desires. This is how one believes in his heart and doubts not. Walk with Prime Creator, and you will have constant contact with Prime Creator now. As one perfects love now, the gifts and the promises are fulfilled. Live in the vibrating essence of your own dispersed love as it flows out continually to heal and to bless, and you are abiding in a new realm in the perfection of the celestial glory now. It is necessary that each individual realizes this great truth as he takes upon himself the fulfilling of the wonders of his own divine perfection. The greatest miracle of all time is the dynamic, breathtaking miracle of each man's and woman's unfoldment, as he and she purifies him and herself and loses every desire for sin, or lets go of his and her own drab mortality. As an individual advances into his and her own perfection, he and she brings forth the greatest miracle of all. There is no other work so great and so utterly beautiful and holy. This is why it is so much more important to work upon oneself than to work upon others. As one brings himself and herself into perfection, he and she will have performed a work of the greatest glory, and it will automatically help to exalt the entire world. There is no other work so sacred and so powerfully important. As one works upon him and herself, he and she unloads the ugly burden of his and her little mortal ego self and fulfills the promises of all perfection and all the glory. This includes the fullness of all things, not the ugly imagined condition of the self-righteous. In this humble, love-filled unfolding, the great transition is accomplished, and one evolves from the man or mortal kingdom into the God kingdom. He and she is born of the Spirit. The condition is the great reality of accomplishment. Such a one could never lift his voice in bragging or demonstrating self-acclaim or in defining boasts or contorting displays of ugliness. He or she. He or she could not possibly vaunt himself or herself. Neither could he or she behave in any unseemly manner of repulsive contorting, as he and she seeks to demonstrate his and her own little supposed greatness of empty mockery. And such a one will know fully, even as Christ knew, that only Prime Creator is great, only Prime Creator is good, and in the unspeakable joy of his and her own humility, he will open wide the gates of heaven. This is the purpose that this sacred information must be placed within this record, that all may know that it is not in the demonstrating of the self, or even of Prime Creator's divine gifts, that one is recognized as a divinely appointed messenger sent of Prime Creator. It is only by their fruits that the righteous are known, and the fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, humility, and all the silent powers that are laid up in the center of the soul, or the kingdom of heaven within, that are of any permanent value to him and her. These fruits are spiritual, and those who receive them are appointed by Almighty Prime Creator to become the greatest. And only they are acceptable to Prime Creator. Now I must share again with the world some of the sacred holy truths given by that divine writer of the Odes of Solomon, as revealed in the 41st Ode, verses 9 to 17, as follows. For the mother father of truth remembered me, rehearted me. They, mother father, who possessed me from the beginning, for mother father's bounty begat me, and the thought of mother father's heart and mother father's word is with us in all our way. The Savior, who makes alive and does not reject our souls. Christ, who was humbled and exalted by Christ's own righteousness. The Son of the Most High appeared in the perfection of Mother Father. The light dawned from the Word that was before time. The Messiah is truly one and known before the foundation of the world. That Christ might save souls forever by the truth of Christ's name. A new song arises from those who love Christ. Alleluia. Alleluia. The above quotation is glorious. This blessed brother, this writer of these sacred odes from the long ago, overcame all the miseries of mortality and death. In his sacred writings, he unfolds the truths and the possibilities of complete overcoming and of reaching perfection in the ability to glorify Prime Creator. And this above quoted ode explains the power of the new song that would arise from those who love Prime Creator. This is true, and only they can learn it. This new song of praise and love and gratitude, this song of infinite power that none except the righteous can learn, is a song without words, because no words could possibly express it. It is also a song without any specified musica, because only the released joyous devotion from an exultant human heart can possibly express it. No shouting, no jumping, no contorting, or words can ever express this song of holiness or send it forth. Only the silent inner devotion of one who loves Prime Creator with their entire being, mind, body, and soul can possibly sing this song of eternal holiness and unspeakable power. And it can only be released in the vibrations of such dynamic power they cannot be heard by human ears or expressed with mortal tongue. This new song is beyond all words and all professed acclaim. It is the instantaneous contact with the throne of Prime Creator, and it is constant and continual and everlasting perfect. And the one who learns to sing this song truly becomes completely humbled and exalted by their own righteousness, even as Christ was, in the very humbling of himself that only perfect love can accomplish. One seeks for the lowest seat as he becomes, in his own opinion, the least. Then is righteousness established. It is this very humility that exalts one into righteousness, for then only can love be made perfect. Humility and love work always together. This glorious brother, this holy one, this writer of these sacred odes, foretold the coming forth of this work and of these books. It was his foretelling that makes them even more precious. And this writer of these glorious Odes of Solomon that are contained in the lost books of the Bible is awaiting all those who accept the truths that he revealed and who overcome. Each one who fulfills these higher teachings as he and she travels this glorified straight and narrow path will be welcomed and acknowledged by this writer, this exalted one, for he too was exalted by his own humility, perfected into righteousness. And this most gracious, inspired, exalted friend has commissioned me to extend his personal greetings and love to each of you as he invites you to enter the realms of the exalted. His loving understanding is held out to welcome and assist you. His love and his personal concern for each of you is great indeed. He is the friend of all who accept the higher truths of perfection, and to have such a friend is a blessing indeed. Thanks be to Prime Creator for such a helper. I would give his name, yet that is not yet permissible. And glory be to Prime Creator for such promises as belong to this generation. Glory be to those who overcome the self with all its desires to excel and to display its meager, skimped little merits, its contorting, unseemly, undignified, unholy, ungodly acclamations of supposed approval. For my kingdom is not in word, yet in power, and that power can only be revealed in the fruits of love, joy, mercy, humility, faith, and in a devotion that can only be displayed in a melted tenderness of inner glory as one sings that new song from the very depths of their soul, not from their lips. Yes, with their lips they confess, yet their hearts are far from me. Only from the heart can that song be sung, that song of infinite love and praise and gratitude and devotion and everlasting exaltation. That song released from a human heart contains the power of every individual's exaltation. It contains the three major vibrations of utter glory, blended into the grand symphony of celestial triumphant overcoming. Yes, the gifts are the implements of immature individuals as they use the gifts for self-aggrandizement or satisfaction. In Paul's glorious chapter describing all the gifts, he intermingles with every enumerated one their worthless mockery, if love is absent or unmanifest. Then he describes the true powers that hold all the fulfilling glory of perfection. These are the fruits of the Spirit and are as follows. Charity, or known as the pure love of Christ, suffereth long and is kind. Charity inviteth not, is not jealous. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, or demonstrates in any repulsive contorting. Seeking not her own credits or rewards, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, yet rejoiceth in truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, every promise of Prime Creator, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth. Yet, whether there be prophecies, they shall fail, whether there be tongues, they shall cease, whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. Then, how could anyone boast or feel self-important? These gifts are yet temporary substitutes given for the childish benefit of those who are immature. As soon as one leaves these things behind, he and she is prepared, as Paul taught, to go on unto perfection. To continue with the precious quotation, starting now with verse 9, for now we know in part, and we prophesy in part. Yet when that is perfect is come, or when we reach perfection, then that is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought and acted as a child. Yet when I became a son of Prime Creator, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, dimly, yet then face to face. Now I know in part, yet then shall I know even as also I am known. This scripture is beautiful indeed. This point of being able to see even as we are seen is the complete unveiling of that higher realm of glory. Those on that higher level are able to behold us clearly and distinctly. They can behold our thoughts and the inner desires of our souls. They know the very workings and strength of our desires. Nothing is hid from them. Yet from our mortal angle, even when we are permitted to behold heavenly beings, we see them only with our spiritual eyes, while they are still hid from our physical vision. And so even in this great gift of vision, we see only vaguely the fullness of the glory of those who contact us. However, when we reach perfection of glorified, perfect selfless love and humility, that veil will be completely removed, and we will see with the clarity and exactness with that we are seen. For we too will be purified, even as he is pure. She is pure. This state, when man's vision is completely purified, will be the great experience of being born of the Spirit. And this is possible. This is a condition or an achievement designated for those of this earth. For Christ said, "If I have told you of the earthly things," in his explanation of being born of the Spirit, "and you did not believe, how could you believe if I told you of heavenly things?" This condition of promised vision, in that we also will be able to see, even as those on that higher realm are able to behold us, is the glorious point where one is filled with light and comprehends all things. This is a heavenly condition, yet it can be reached by those on this earth as they purify themselves, even as he and she is pure. It was meant to be accomplished right here, and as it is done, one automatically evolves from the man kingdom into the God kingdom. And now, to return to the last verse of that glorious 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians, "And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, yet the greatest of these is charity," or the pure Christ-like love. Only the gifts of qualities of faith and hope and charity are eternal. Only these three are of lasting value, and only these belong to he and she who can stand before Prime Creator as a son and daughter who possesses these divine treasures that neither moth nor rust can corrupt, nor thieves break through and steal. These are the jewels that are possessed by the soul as he and she purifies him and herself. These are the treasures in heaven, and these cannot possibly be put on display. Then, why should anyone boast or brag or behave himself in an unseemly manner as he demonstrates in an unholy manner, as he defiles himself and the holy gifts of God? Question mark. He who would be perfect, as the scriptures indicate in these words, when that is perfect is come, will understand that these inferior partial gifts will be done away. This is true. Yet the greatest truth is this: as one develops that most sacred commandment, that first and greatest one of all, he and she does perfect love right within him and herself. This is the one unfailing, glorifying accomplishment. It is the assurance of maturity or sonship, daughtership. For such a one will have put aside grubby mortality and will have advanced into a divine Christ of Prime Creator. This is a possibility for anyone who will lift their vision to behold the glory of Prime Creator and then hold his and her mind focused upon that glory. In this exalted vision, the little childish, immature self, with its desire for show and its pride and vaunted demonstrating, will be overcome. Then only can one step forth into divine maturity. The most marvelous truth is that one does not need to die in order to make this giant stride, for it is only in this life that the opportunity is held forth in its fullness for complete overcoming. It is while in this body of flesh that the soul can be most gloriously perfected. This great, beautiful, eternal now is man and woman's golden opportunity to fulfill all things. In this life is the eternal challenge and opportunity to prove Christ's words by living them, and so receiving the power contained in them. Live that first and great commandment, and all the fruits of the Spirit will be brought forth in you. These sacred, holy treasures, these jewels of divinity, and these jewels are the fruits of the Spirit. They will go with you into the next world. They will never be done away, and you have the power to clothe yourself in the glory of them, and they will bear witness for you. For it is only by your fruits that you will be known as an approved Christ of Prime Creator. The gifts are only manifest in mortality and can be abused and misused. The fruits are spiritual and will endure forever, for they are eternal. Yes, by their fruits shall you know them, and it is only by men's true spiritual qualities that they can possibly be recognized, not by the gifts they display in open desecration. It is in the proving and in the fulfilling of that most holy, sacred, divine, powerful commandment that each individual advances into his and her maturity. And that commandment is an everlasting challenge to test the integrity of men and women as its unspeakable powers are revealed. That commandment is powerful beyond thought or knowledge. It is glorious beyond words. It contains all the powers of fulfilling even every glorious, dynamic, holy promise of Prime Creator. And these promises are already held within the branch, or man, womb man, waiting to bud forth and to blossom into celestial beauty as the matured, ripened fruits of perfection yield the wonderful fulfillment of all that man was ordained to accomplish in the full measure of his own perfection. This is how one matures into the perfection of all the glorified fruits of Prime Creator, as he and she obtains the jewels of the kingdom and lays up for him and herself the divine treasures of heaven. And it is only by the fruits of the Spirit that Prime Creator's chosen may be recognized. Perfect love, the eternal jewel of everlasting glory, and the fruits of it will be yours, and you will have the joyous power to hold them forth for the benefit of a hungry, starving world. And in the bringing forth those precious fruits, you will be recognized or known. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 6 is given this full information as follows. The husbandman that laboreth must be first partaker of the fruits. In other words, he that works to bring forth these most holy fruits of the Spirit within him and herself will also be the first to partake of them. Such will then be able to share those fruits with the world. He and she will be recognized by these divine fruits of purity and love and graciousness and joy and humility, and he and she will be clothed in the radiance of these everlasting jewels of the Spirit. For shame to those who make such an open, noisy display of the holy gifts of Prime Creator as they defile them in a show of rattling and demonstrations without the pure love of Christ being first manifest in their lives. Love is the key of perfection. It is the joy and the meaning of existence. It is the glory of eternity. It is the fullness of Prime Creator, and in it are contained all the other jewels of the Spirit. Then is given this powerful promise to those who will lay hold of it and prove it, for it can be proved by every living soul upon this earth. I know, for I have fulfilled it. To him who prayeth continually without ceasing, unto such is given to reveal things that never have been revealed, yea, and it shall be given unto such to bring thousands of souls to repentance. Live life a living prayer. To train oneself to pray continually without ceasing is the most marvelous blessing imaginable. This constant prayer is not a begging, Prime Creator, give me prayer. Give me got a fat lip and a black eye. It is the glorious new song of praise and love and gratitude that can only be expressed from a living heart in its pure perfection. It vibrates out in a radiance of ecstasy, of glorious devotion. It is a divine melody of unspeakable power. It is the love of Prime Creator being expressed in singing splendor as an eternal symphony of glorious, exquisite joy. It is love made perfect, and to such it is given to know the mysteries of Prime Creator, insomuch that he and she will be filled with light and comprehend all things. Glory be to Prime Creator. Glory and power and dominion be to Prime Creator forever and ever, the tremendous great mystery. And he and she who prays without ceasing or without letting this exuberant song die down is releasing that song of increasing joyous ecstasy throughout his and her own being, and in doing so is transforming or spiritualizing the very cells and atoms of his and her body and preparing it to be born of the Spirit. He and she is advancing into pure perfection as his and her body become exalted to the stature of the Spirit. And he and she will receive the powers of that spiritual birth and will be able to come and go as the wind in the divine service of Almighty Prime Creator. He and she advances into the performance of the greater works, as he and she brings thousands of souls unto repentance and to Prime Creator. This is not done in words, yet in power. These are the works of Yeshua Christ. These are the greater works, and they begin right within each individual as he and she works upon him and herself instead of upon others. Let your light so shine. It does not say let your words so bear witness. Glory and power be to Prime Creator forever and ever. Joy and everlasting life be to those who fulfill divine promises, who fulfill Prime Creator's holy and sacred divine promises. As the great and unutterable blessings become their own. And in the fulfilling these higher possibilities, one beholds with his eyes and her eyes the things that have never yet been seen by human eyes. And with his and her ears, he and she will hear the perfection of that divine symphony of complete fulfillment and know the mysteries thereof. And he and she will contemplate and understand, overstand the great and marvelous things that Prime Creator has prepared for those who love Prime Creator. Nothing is impossible, so I declare unto you anew, and I speak from knowledge and not from the letter of the law, and so may you too speak as you fulfill and prove the great truths that Prime Creator gave. One little notation must be added here. Those whom Christ rebukes, saying, I never knew you, depart from me, ye that work iniquity, is speaking of those who continually work through their own stirred up emotions as they work upon the emotions of others. These are working in iniquity, or with a complete lack of inner contact with Prime Creator. They lack that divine inner quiet, so necessary for Prime Creator's fulfilling. And this will complete chapter 12, the gifts and the fruits of the Spirit beyond mortal boundaries. Thank you. I love you all. Namaste, namaste.